You know, this is absolutely stunning. This is a significant matter. It involves a proposal that has huge environmental, fiscal, and economic impact throughout the entire region, and you seem oblivious to it.
I had whistleblower training, and I knew my case was probably a whistleblower case. I really had a problem. I felt that was a scientific integrity issue, and I was wrongly fired over it.
I like reading science fiction, but not when it's in a government document used to create laws and policy. Unfortunately, that's what's happening in some government agencies. The question is why? And the answer is that science doesn't always back up the policy agenda. When that happens, it's far easier to simply omit or manipulate scientific data than it is to defend an unsupportable position. Some of the worst abusers are environmentalists who twist science into science fiction or fictional science to advance their cause. The Department of Interior wants to remove 4 clean energy hydroelectric dams in the Klamath River in Northern California. Their reasoning for the largest dam removal project in U.S. history? To return a native fish species, the coho salmon, to its original habitat. But the Department of Interior has run into a problem. Scientists don't all agree that removing the dams will actually benefit the salmon. And local residents who rely on these dams for water control, irrigation, recreation, and electricity don't want the dams removed. The Department of Interior is pushing forward regardless, forcing science to conform to their predetermined policy objectives rather than making decisions based on sound science. At the Department of Interior, there is no room for dissent. And when a whistleblower in the department calls them out on faulty science, he gets fired. And that has Congressman Tom McClintock up in arms.
Ms. Kendall, on February 24th, an 11-page complaint was filed with the Office of the Executive Secretariat and Regulatory Affairs of the Department of the Interior. It documented allegations of systematic, scientific, and scholarly misconduct relating to the Klamath River Dam removal secretarial determination process. And it wasn't filed by some gadfly. It was filed by Dr. Paul Hauser of George Mason University, who was at the time the Bureau of Reclamation's science advisor and science integrity officer. Specifically, he documented the intentional falsification of scientific results contained in the September 21, 2011 summary of key conclusions of the draft EIS-EIR and related scientific and technical reports, and intentional circumvention of the policy that ensures the integrity of science and scholarship and actions that compromise scientific and scholarly integrity. Now, given the well-documented complaint of political tampering with scientific data made by the official directly responsible for overseeing the scientific integrity of these studies, your statement that there's been a, quote, complete absence of any complaints about the manner in which the Klamath Basin study is proceeding is absolutely stunning. Have you or anyone in your office, to your knowledge, had any discussion with the Secretary's office, including the Chief of Staff, about Dr. Hauser's complaint or your office's investigation of it?
None that I'm familiar with, no.
In the list of complaints that you provided to the committee, there is one by Kira Finkler. Is that correct?
If that's in the documents...
What was that regarding?
I don't know.
Well, Kira Finkler was Dr. Hauser's boss at the Bureau of Reclamation. She was the official to whom he originally brought these allegations. Her response was to fire him. She's also the person who was overseeing the Klamath Dam Restoration Agreement, to which Trout Unlimited is a signatory, and she was employed by Trout Unlimited from 2004 to 2007, but did not recuse herself from the Klamath project even in light of this apparent conflict of interest. Now, I'll ask you again, a complaint regarding her was in your list of complaints provided to the committee. What is that about?
You've provided me enough information now to... I do remember that we received this complaint. I don't have detailed information about what happened to it. We could get back to you on it.
You know, this is absolutely stunning. This is a significant matter. It involves a proposal that has huge environmental, fiscal, and economic impact throughout the entire region, and you seem oblivious to it. I find that remarkable.
Dr. Paul Hauser placed his integrity as a scientist above his need for a paycheck. And despite attempts by his bosses at the Department of Interior to bully him into going along with their deception, he did the job he was hired to do. And that ultimately cost him his job. Here's his story.
I was sitting in my office one September afternoon, and a press officer from across the hall came to me with a press release that she had concerns about. She wanted me to check the science of it. So this isn't in my regular job duties, but I thought, why not? I'll take a look at it. Read the press release. It was titled something like, taking the Klamath dams out will bring all kinds of jobs and save the salmon. So just off the top of the title didn't make sense to me. I actually told this officer in an email that it raised red flags with me because it didn't reflect the reality of the science that I learned about. So I complained about this. I went to the press officer for River Reclamation. I said, hey, I have some concerns about this. He said, this isn't an issue that I'm prepared to take on. If you want to take this on, you need to take it to my boss, the Secretary of the Interior press secretary. My boss was not happy with me. She said, first of all, the secretary wants to remove those dams. So your actions here aren't helpful. They aren't helping the department to meet its goals. And the second thing she said is, I support the idea of not making discoverable documents. She was very disappointed about the way that I handled it by emailing people, by talking to people, by asking their opinion. She said I created a trail that could be discovered. So on February 6th, I went to one of my regular weekly meetings with my boss, and she had a witness there, and they informed me that I was had an option of being terminated or to resign within 2 days because they felt that my skills weren't a good match for the position. I actually asked her at this point, does this have to do with the Klamath? And she kind of dismissed that. But it was pretty clear to me that the train had what path it had taken, and it changed immediately when I put that disclosure forward on the Klamath Science. On the last day of my employment, the 24th of February, I put forward a carefully written allegation of scientific misconduct, and I put forward a whistleblower complaint with the Office of Special Counsel. There are a lot of good scientists, and there's a lot of good people who work for the government. The government isn't all bad, but they're scared. They're scared that what happened to me might happen to them.
Now, 7 other scientists working for the Department of Interior have also been removed from their positions or relocated because they also disagreed with faulty science used for the Klamath Dam removal project. We expect our government to make decisions based on all the facts they have at their disposal. Environmental policy objectives should never drive science. Science should drive policy. It's simply outrageous that the public can't rely on those we've elected to make sure that honesty and sound science are behind the laws they require us to live by. A government that can't be trusted is not a friend to liberty or democracy.